Hello everybody, welcome to a new video about Omnisphere Shock Horror, but this time we're going to go into the mod matrix. Something I've not really covered in full. I've covered modulation and how to modulate sources, but I've never actually gone into the mod matrix itself. Now, how do we get there? Well, it's very simple. If we go to where it says modulation and click on that little plus symbol with the magnifying glass, there we go, that's your mod matrix library of any parameter you got mapped to whatever controller. Now we've got 4 pages, each page selected by 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is for the whole synthesizer, not just per layer. It is for layers A, B, C and D and the effects, anything you can actually modulate within that Omnisphere patch really. And the power of it is you can select your source at any point and your target without actually going to the main page. There's some things in here that you sort of can't really get to by just right clicking and clicking modulate on the main interface, and there's some other parameters in here that we'll go through which are quite powerful. And it's also great that you can see all your modulation sources at a glance. Why would you want to do that? Well, let's just quickly mock up a sound. Let's go for Rich and Mogi. Everybody knows I like one of those, or Moogie, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Let's make it a bit more plucky. And just add a bit of effects on. Just a bit of delay. And a touch of reverb. Right, there we go. So we've got a basic patch. Now, what we can do is say right click that cutoff. I want to modulate with an LFO, which is great. You can see that there. Brilliant. We can then modulate the resonance with the wheel. And again, we can see that there. Now, if I suddenly wanted to change the modulation for the cutoff, as in how much I'm applying, yes, I can click on this little down arrow here and go back to cutoff. Oh, well and good. But what happens if I've got 20 modulation sources going on at once? This menu here is going to get quite long and unwieldy very quickly. And to overcome that, you just click on that magnifying and you can see the whole thing now at a glance. I've got my LFO, one source, targeting my cutoff. I've got my mod wheel, targeting resonance. I can now say how much I want to add to it. Now, what I'm going to do is just show you some modulate that. All you do is right click and say unmodulate, and that's that done. I'm just going to show you a nice little parameter that is not used that often. Something called bias, and I'm just going to apply it. I'm going to turn that off there, and I'm going to apply it to cutoff. Now, this is blank now. I can't see the parameter of bias and cutoff. And thinking, sorry, I need to apply it to cutoff. There we go. I can't see it in here now. To actually see the parameter, actually edit what bias does and how it affects cutoff, you need to right click and say show modulation bias 1, and it will appear now in this screen. As you can see here, it says bias, where I'm going to apply it from. So anything from D#4 on your keyboard upwards will have bias applied. Now, if I wanted to do D# downwards, I just do it left, and so basically anything this way it'll get applied to. So if I go right, and I'm going to make it C3, so there we go. Now what's it going to do? Now if I turn my cutoff down, and I make that smooth so it's not jerky, now what happens is, that's the bottom end of the keyboard. Now listen to what happens when I move up this keyboard. The cutoff is opening until we get to here, and the cutoff's fully open. So you can have great fun with this because I think, right, okay, if I want anything above C4, so anything above C4, I want the cutoff to start opening, but anything below C4, I don't want to. I know I'm not going to blow anything up when I say C4, before anybody asks. Now that's C4, now we're going to go up past C4. So you probably can start thinking what we can actually do with this, and if I put it in the other direction. So it's open up now at the top and bottom end. And we can invert it. So if I want to target, so I want to really exaggerate this, just for demo purposes. You can see that little white dot. So the higher I'm going up now, because I've inverted it, the more that cutoff is going to close. Now if I just invert it back, there we go. Oops. That's it. Now this is our trigger point now. Notice that white dot now. The more I'm going to that keyboard, the more that filter's opening. So it's an interesting thing you can do, because you could then apply it to say, I want to apply it to resonance instead. So I'm going to just make my resonance right down. Trigger point. So that's a bias parameter. It's quite handy, that. And then you can also, if I want to, these aren't modulatable unfortunately, because you'll notice it's a modulate, but if I want to go into my envelope, and you can modulate the speed here if you want to, of how it's applied, or if you're in the mod matrix, you can literally just go to this drop down and say, right, I want my target to be mod envelope, and you've got them all here. So you don't actually have to go hunting for where on earth is that parameter I want. You can see it in this long list here without having to start charging through Omnisphere. And if you've got part effects here, this is one reason why I put some effects in, is because if you go into here, you can then say, right, I can apply any of these sources to a parameter on the effect. So if I wanted to, I'll tell you what would be a good demonstration. If I just clear these presets out, empty rack. Now if I just put in here my delay, I think I need to put, tell you what, make it more pronounced. And I put some reverb on. And then what I can do, and I did it there by accident, is then go, right, I don't know what I want to do. I want to go for my wheel. So I just need to find wheel in there. And in here, I want to go to proverb, auxiliary send, that's it. Common auxiliary send, click on that. No, sorry, return, I want. And you see that's got a blue thing on now, so if I move my wheel, it should. Come on. Thank you. And why is it not working? Oh, it does help if you had reverb. Have any. Why have I got no auxiliary? Ah, that's why. So from this library here, I can change what my wood wheel does now. I want to send it, say I want to set up another one with my wheel, and I want to go to, let's go to part effects, whoops, sorry, no, I want to go to proverb time. So I push it forward, I get a spacey sound, pull it back, and I can go in between. So instead of flicking backwards and forwards between the FX and the mod matrix, I can just do it purely and hear everything at once, because now I could say, oh, well, okay, now I want to change my LFO and I want it to do cutoff. So I need to go to filter cutoff, right, okay. So instead now, it's all there. So there we go, it's a quick whistle stop tour of the mod matrix. I hope you found this video useful and gave you some ideas on patch design for Omnisphere, because we're going to start digging into a bit more on patch design, because I've learned a few things with programming my own patches, etc. Speaking of which, we do have a sample pack, not a sample pack, patch library for Omnisphere on my website, adrian.earnshaw.com, called Perihelion, and it's a collection of 88 patches and just sort of ambient electronic type stuff. You can pick it up for £6. So head on over to adrian.earnshaw.com, pick up your copy. Thank you for your support. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up and ding that bell, and you'll be notified when the next video is up and out there. And we'll go into a bit more detail in the next video of what has changed in this studio. For those of you eagle-eyed, the clue might be in the background wallpaper. Catch you in the next one.